Today, we're taking a look at the MLB dirty curveballs. With all that legal mumbo-jumbo out of the way, let's rank some freaking curves. 1. Charlie Morton, Tampa Bay Rays. Morton's claim to being no. Despite throwing the second most curves in baseball last season, he had the third best true average among pitchers who had at least 100 at-bats in with the pitch. All per Baseball Prospectus. Morton's first season with the Rays saw him use his curve as his primary pitch for the first time in his career. The old rule of thumb is that batters will tell you when something is working, based on that. His approach worked just fine. Morton held opponents to a .151 average and a .228 slugging against his curve, and generated whiffs on 38% of swings against it. To recap, Morton used his curve a ton and posted excellent results with it. What's missing? Right, the eye test. 2. Sonny Gray. Cincinnati Reds. We were all but destined to have a Reds pitcher on this list. Be it Trevor Bauer, Lucas Sims, or, yes, Gray. Gray checks all the boxes. He threw his curveball a quarter of the time. According to StatCast, he limited opponents to a .131 average. He missed bats on more than 30% of the swings taken against it. He had an elite spin rate, and so on and so forth. At some point, you just have to give a pitch its due. 3. Tyler Glasnow, Tampa Bay Rays. As is customary, allow us to tip our proverbial caps to some of those who were in contention. That means you Aaron Nola, Noah Syndergaard, Ryan Presley, and others. Kudos. Glasnow threw just 264 curveballs last season because of the time he missed due to injury. The pitch was highly effective, though, with the opposition hitting just .177 against it with a 44% whiff rate. 4. James Karinchak, Cleveland. We weighed whether we should give the nod to German Marquez, the Rockies' right-handed starter, or Karinchak, who, it could be argued, should qualify only for the next section. We opted for Karinchak because of the wow factor. Karinchak wasn't up for long last season, but he found a good measure of success all the same. He held opponents to a .154 average against and generated nearly 37% whiffs. If he can stay healthy and throw a few more strikes, he's going to have a lengthy career as a high-leverage reliever. That curveball is a big reason why. 5. Deivi Garcia, New York Yankees. Garcia is on the smaller side, and that will continue to work against his chances of remaining in a rotation for the long haul. One thing Garcia has working in his favor, however, is his curveball. It's a nasty pitch, to the extent that we feel comfortable calling it the best of its kind in the minors. 6. Adam Wainwright. The fact that Adam Wainwright had one of the best curveballs in baseball last year should probably surprise no one. Wainwright has made his entire career on an absolutely killer curveball. It's one of my favorite pitches in baseball to watch. The curveball was Wainwright's most thrown pitch last year, as has been the case over the past few years. And with good reason. Last year, the pitch posted a 34.9% chase rate, 12.4% SWSDR rate, a .255 WOBA against, and a .124 ISO against. Like I said, unsurprising that Wainwright had an awesome curveball last year. What is surprising is how good of a season the 40-year-old pitcher had, with a 3.05 ERA and 32 starts and breaking 200 innings for the first time since 2014. From 2016 to 2019, it looked like Wainwright's time as a dominant starter in the league was coming to an end. And understandably so, he was getting older. It's the natural curve of a career. Then, all of a sudden, he posted a 3.15 ERA in the shortened 2020 season. But given it was just 65.2 innings and came with a 4.11 FIP and 4.39 SIERA, I think many of us thought it was kind of a fluky season. But boy, were we wrong. Again, Wainwright did even better, and even though his 3.05 ERA came with a 3.66 FIP and 4.13 SIERA, I'm less inclined to say it's luck than I was before. The curveball was working wonders. And while none of his other pitchers were top-notch strikeout pitches, they all performed pretty admirably, with none of them posting a WOBA against over .334. Now, the .204 ISO against his cutter and .221 ISO against his fastball give me a little concern about commanding the pitches. But that's not enough of a concern for me to ditch Wainwright entirely. He's going to turn 41 at the end of August, and normally I'd say avoid at all costs. But the guy showed last year he's still got some gas left in the tank. He's risky, given how volatile the pitching position is. All he needs is one bad throw to cause a career-ending injury. But I'm intrigued to see what happens next. 7. Corbin Burnes. When I think of Corbin Burnes, I think of his filthy cutter, and with good reason, because the pitch is absolutely ridiculous and has been the pitch Burns has built his career on so far. But last year, Burns started using his curveball more than ever before, making it his second most thrown pitch. And it worked beautifully, posting a 35.1% chase rate, 19.4% SWSDR rate, 0.114 WOBA against, and .050 ISO against. And on top of that, Burns' cutter was just as fantastic as it's always been. And in conjunction with a solid changeup and a great slider, it's no wonder Burns posted a Cy Young season. What's even wilder is his 2.43 ERA, which is again amazing, came with a 1.63 FIP. So yay. Corbin Burns is absurdly good. 8. Joe Musgroves. I have been a fan of Joe Musgroves for many years now. It seemed like years Musgrove had all the pieces to be a good pitcher but just couldn't quite put things together. Until we saw a glimmer of hope in the 2020 season that turned into a full shine in 2021. Through 31 starts, Musgrove posted a 3.18 ERA with a 27.1% strikeout rate and a 1.08 WHIP, easily the best season of his career. And one of the main drivers of that season was this curveball. Last season, Musgrove started pitching backwards, and I'm so happy he did. His fastball was no longer his primary pitch, but instead, it was a mix of his slider and curveball, and both were fantastic. The slider posted a 41.5% chase rate, 18.5% SWSDR rate, and a .228 WOBA against, while the curveball posted a 31.2% chase rate, 14.9% SWSDR rate, and a .182 WOBA against. With those two pitches are his primary offerings. It's no wonder Musgrove had such a good season, though, if you want to worry about him. All you need to do is look at his fastballs, none of which are particularly good. His four-seamer posted a .386 WOBA and .227 ISO against. His cutter had a .371 WOBA and .236 ISO against. And his sinker had a .447 WOBA and .257 ISO against. That does concern me a bit. He's got two fantastic breakers, but I worry that, without at least an average to decent fastball, he starts to gravitate more towards his 3.900 or even higher rather than his 3.18 ERA. 9. Julio Urias. We finally got a full season's worth of starts out of Julio Urias, and it was just as magical as I hoped it would be. With an excellent 2.96 ERA coupled with a 1.02 WHIP and 3.13 FIP, Urias basically throws three pitches: an average fastball, a really good changeup that works well as a strikeout pitch, and a top-notch curveball. Given how good Urias' curveball is, you'd expect it to be more of a swing and miss pitch, but surprisingly, it isn't. Last year, the pitch logged a solid 30.6% chase rate and 11.3% SWSDR rate. But where it really shines is inducing weak contact. Last year, the pitch also had a .183 WOBA and .079 ISO against it. Basically, the only remote weakness Urias has is his fastball, which had a .346 WOBA and .205 ISO against. Those aren't great, and suggest that he has a bit of trouble commanding the pitch. But when your secondary offerings are as good as his are, who cares, right? 10. Charlie Morton. If ever I want to make the case to someone that baseball, and especially pitching, is art, Charlie Morton's curveball is one of the pitches I'll point to. That pitch is gorgeous to me. It's so smooth, so quick, and so nasty. It's been the reason Morton has been such a good pitcher the past few years. And it was once again amazing in 2021. Pick a metric. Morton's curveball was great. A 36.6% chase rate, 17.7% SWSDR rate, 40.3% strikeout rate, .180 WOBA against, .060 ISO against. It's a beautiful pitch, and it absolutely deserves to be at the top of this list. This is all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like, and if you are new, then don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for the future updates. See you till the next video. Thank you for watching.